the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
The Re-Blaction.
71-year-old Glenn Simmons holds the unfortunate record of having the longest wrongful conviction in U.S. history. In 1975, he was sentenced to death for a fatal crime, even though he was in another state when it happened. It took 48 years, 1 month, and 18 days for Glenn Simmons to finally prove what he always knew, that he was innocent of that crime. On December 30th, 1974, two people robbed a liquor store in Edmond, Oklahoma. They fired at the store clerk, a young white woman, taking her life, and also at an 18-year-old customer named Belinda Brown. Belinda was struck in the head, but she survived. The same night that the robbery occurred, 21-year-old Glenn Simmons was 700 miles away in Harvey, Louisiana, where he was partying and playing games at a pool hall. Several people saw Glenn there and testified to this at his trial. Several weeks later, he moved to Oklahoma to live with his aunt and to work at a restaurant and at a hospital. As the police were investigating the liquor store robbery, they were also looking into other crimes that had been committed in the area. Police arrested two brothers for a fatal crime. They learned that these two brothers had been at a party hosted by Glenn's aunt. The police started bringing in guests from the party and putting them into lineups for the robbery victim to look at. Glenn was one of the people who was brought in. The police also questioned Belinda Brown, the survivor from the robbery. She told the police that she did not remember much about what happened and that she only got a glimpse of the suspects for a split second. Even though Belinda Brown did not remember anything about the crime and barely remember seeing the suspects, she identified Glenn and 21-year-old Don Roberts as the perpetrators. Glenn and Don went to trial in June of 1975. Both men were convicted and sentenced to death. In 1995, the prosecutor from Glenn's case wrote him a letter saying that he did not think that Glenn was guilty and that the witness had expressed reservations about her identification of Glenn. He also wrote the parole board supporting Glenn's bid to be released, but unfortunately, Glenn was repeatedly denied parole. In 2021, Glenn's attorneys uncovered evidence that his original attorney had failed to call all the alibi witnesses. Glenn's attorney had done a horrible job representing him at his trial. He got Glenn's name wrong several times in front of the jury and had failed to ask for all of the documents and evidence pertaining to the lineups. This attorney was later disbarred for neglecting his client. And it came to light that Belinda Brown never actually identified Glenn and Don as the perpetrators. In April of 2023, the Oklahoma County District Attorney moved to vacate Glenn's conviction. And in December of 2023, Glenn was finally issued a declaration of actual innocence, saying that he did not commit this crime. Don Roberts was released on parole in 2008 after more than 3 decades in prison, and his conviction remains. Glenn lost 5 decades of his life to incarceration and shame and ridicule. What does it say about our justice system that a man like Glenn Simmons, who had a mountain of evidence proving that he was innocent of this crime, spent 5 decades in prison? Everyone knew that Glenn was innocent, and yet he was allowed to rot away in prison. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think.
That ain't white. No, that ain't white.